What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're back. This is Jason Avant, and I have my main man here, Q. This is the Q&A show, Q&A podcast. Q, say what's up to the people.
What's up? What's up, everybody? How's it going? Glad to be back again. Excited for another great show, and I can't wait to get into it with you, Jay, because I always learn something, I always experience something new. So I'm excited for it, man.
We're always excited to be around each other. So it's a locker room time. So again, we're on Inside the Birds platform here, the Q&A podcast, Inside the Birds. Make sure that you guys are always sending your questions to us, insidethebirds@gmail.com. We're also streaming on YouTube, Amazon Music, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. We're here, and we're excited each and every week to give you guys fresh information. We have some fun topics this week. Q, I kind of sprung this on us like last minute. We have, some topics that we went over already, but taking the world by storm the last 24 hours or so, not even, is Simone Biles and her saying that she's not going to compete in the team all around because of mental health, issues. And this isn't the first time we've seen this. We've seen it with Naomi Osaka. And I was a bit perplexed by it. I'm not going to slam her because you never want to slam people with mental health issues. But I want to get your thoughts on it, and I'm going to dive in it myself.
Yeah. So when I looked at the situation, the biggest thing that stood out to me was the timing of it all. She had already started. They already started. I think maybe I forget what event she did, and she didn't. You could tell. I watched a couple of events. You could tell that she wasn't on her best game, and so I think the timing of it is really peculiar. Just because you competed for so long and you've been working your tail off for last few years. You've had so much success and done so many good things, and then you get all the way to to Japan, and you have one tough outing, and and again, it's tough. Like you said, it's a situation where you're not sure what's going on as a fan, as a fan of the Olympics, as a fan of her, as a fan of gymnastics. It's just tough because you just want to know what would make someone kind of step back. And mental health is a serious thing in this world, and so I don't want to make light of it, but I just my initial thought was like, man, I wonder what happened. Like, what would make someone sacrifice so much for so long and then get to the pinnacle a second time and then just kind of step away. So it's tough for me to understand.
It. Yeah. So for me, I've been, discussing it with, all day with multiple people, friends of mine. I have a good, one of my former teammates who actually runs a mental health business. And we've been discussing it back all day. So here's my thought process. And my thought process is not to slam Simone, but what makes an athlete is that their ability to be able to fight through the emotional, the anxiety and worry, and that sense of nervousness and fear at times, the sense of being perfect. I remember having 2 seasons where I never dropped the pass, and I began to think like, dude, I can't top that ever again. So the pressure of trying to be perfect, knowing that possibly I can never be perfect. And being able to fight through despite that is what makes an athlete special. So I feel that the narrative of this culture is tells people, okay, the mental health marketing machine, that, oh, you're dealing with stuff, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with stuff, you're dealing with this. And before you know it, I believe that Simone Biles has been like hoodwinked, pressured by the way of the culture in 2021. Naomi Osaka and multiple people around talking about their mental health things rather than fighting through. And that's what make the victory sweet. It's not that you just the fans cheering. No, it's the blood, it's the sweat, it's the tears, it's the turmoil, it's the mental battles that you have to go through every day. I remember in college going to practice every day feeling like, man, why am I doing this? You remember those college workouts,
Oh
nothing like
yeah.
the pros, those college ones. It's like every day you went, you were like, dude, do I really want to do this the rest of my life?
Soul searching.
Soul searching. Like you go into a season, you got 150 people on your roster, and you end up with 100 because 50 people couldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it was, and so I believe that you take that away from an athlete, and I'm not saying that she isn't a champion, she isn't a GOAT, and all that type of stuff. That's what makes it so perplexing, because she's fought through multiple times before. So we know that she can do it.
Yeah.
She knows that she can do it. But in this moment, in this time, she listened to the way of the culture. And I'm afraid that we're allowing ourselves to do that in multiple areas, whether it's me going to the game and I got to pass out a trophy to all the little kids because no one wants to be losers anymore. Or if a kid is saying, hey man, you got a big head, and somebody goes and cries to their parent, you got to tell the kid to stop calling him big head. No, tell him that he got glasses on. Tell him he got 4 eyes. Like, no, fight back. I may be wrong in the way that I'm approaching that, but I think that's what makes the society. That's what makes us tough as members of society. So that's all I'll say about it. But it's been a dying, burning topic for me to talk about. So I'm glad I got a chance to discuss it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. You're absolutely right. And we've talked about it multiple times that, like, society, it's almost like it's kind of gotten flipped where now celebrating, fighting through stuff isn't the same now. And not saying that in this instance with Simone that she quit or anything like that, but it's almost like when a person decides not to do something, like let's say if I'm going into a game and I decide for whatever reason that it's just not in my best interest to play, no matter how many of my teammates sacrifice as well, no matter how many of my teammates put their selves on the line. In that one instance, me as a player, I don't think I could do it, but it's almost like that's being celebrated now of,
you looking out for you,
looking out for yourself, and the whole thing with the mental issue is it's a very, very real thing, and it's very, very complicated for everyone to understand. And that's the thing that struggles the most. And I think that's where me and you agree. It's definitely, it's something that we didn't have to, we experienced it, but we overcame it in a different way. And I just think this world is, so I agree, celebrating it in the wrong way. Yeah. So I agree with you, man. It's a tough subject, man. And my heart goes out to her. It couldn't have been easy either way, but
go ahead. Yeah. To me, 1,825 days was from Rio to now, and all the sacrifice that all of you all and your teammates put in order to do that team event together. You're being the strongest element of that team, and those young ladies having a chance to win a medal and put in that time, not knowing if they're going to be replaced for the next Olympics, if this is their only Olympics or whatever. I just think that I definitely know that I couldn't have done that. Yeah. So I'm not going to beat that horse all night, because we're going to talk about football. But I want to say thank you again to all the fans that's made this show a success. I want to say thank you to Jeff and Adam and Hunter and everyone that's behind the scenes, Josh, that's continuing to make this show a success. All the fans and all your questions that you continue to email to insidethebirds@gmail.com. We're going to get into a subject that we talked about briefly last week, because we talked about the possibility of it occurring, and it occurred. And that's signing of Steven Nelson, Q, another defensive back in the room. Let's talk about it. You've been talking about it all off season. Let's talk about it.
Man, I've been smiling ever since this, because we said last week, if we can get him at the right price point, he'll be, knock it out of the park. If we sign him, he's in year 7. Played a lot of football, a lot of good football. Played in a very good system in Pittsburgh. Played, he's a good player, very good player, and we got him at $4 million. I mean, that's like that's
too much.
crazy, right? You think so? So to me, the way I look at, okay, yeah, $4 million is maybe more, but you got to look at it as what he brings to the team. Now, I feel like the secondary is in a much better place because now we have some experience outside. Now we have some known playmakers, some known, guys that can develop and not develop, but they can play in this league. Now we don't have any question marks outside. And to me, the biggest part of it is now that we can move Vontae Maddox inside, or even if McPherson starts to show something inside, now you have just more help all across the board. And the corner position was something that was super lacking. And we talked about it last week. I mean, the complete secondary, but I think he kind of shores up, again, not like a huge splash player, but he definitely shores up and makes sure that we have viable options outside or opposite of Slay. So I like it. I love it, actually.
Yeah. So I love the move too. Do I love $4 million? Absolutely not, because that was the number that he basically wanted in the beginning, I believe. Right. So the Eagles basically came up to his demand. And so more power to him for getting his bread. So I'm not hating on him for getting his cheese. Get your cheese, young man. Get it. So I'm not hating on him at all.
He was set to make $8 million, I believe.
Was he set to make $8 million?
$8 million in Pittsburgh, and I think he was released, and I think he was looking for something around the area. And we were talking last week. I was like, definitely not 8, but I think even last week I was like maybe 5. So, to me, it's
I'm gonna leave that conversation alone because this is above my pay grade, and it's above my. I think I know what $8 million is worth. So if you were looking for $8 million and you ended up getting 4, but that's really funny to me because usually guys that are getting $8 million, they're on high demand.
Yeah,
they're not waiting until a week before training camp in order to get signed, or 3-4, So, but getting them for $4 million, I guess that's good. So anyhow, let's talk about him as a player. We talked about it last week of being him being a scrappy player, him being a guy that's going to work hard, that Philadelphia is going to like. The thing that we probably didn't talk about a bunch is that he does have the ability to play the nickel. He played nickel more so when he was in Kansas City. And they had Mike Hilton in Pittsburgh, so he didn't have to go in and out to do that. Only when the team went multiple receivers that he had to go inside. But he has the ability to play nickel, so that's really good because now if McPherson does better outside, now he can go in sub and do that, or if he plays better inside, he still can stay out. So it gives you flexibility as a defense. And then Darius Slay gets tired, you know what I mean? Because there's nothing worse for a defense to know that that you can just throw at one person the entire game and you can't do anything about it. And I don't think that he's a free pass outside. He doesn't play the game that way. You can't just line up and throw the ball at him 12 times and expect to complete all of those passes. I'm not saying that he's going to pick them all, but he's going to touch some of those passes. He's going to break up a pass. He's going to let you know about it. So he fights. So that's what you want from a veteran corner. And so I'm excited about that. And at least Darius Slay knows that he has someone that's going to fight with him. So I'm excited about that. Anything else to add with that?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I actually didn't know that he played inside as much as obviously in Pittsburgh he was outside, but I didn't know he played inside. So that's another thing that I didn't know. That's definitely huge.
Yeah, he was viewed as a nickel, as a nickel. Coach Reed viewed him as a nickel, and you remember Bob was that Sutton? Bob Sutton, was it Sutton?
The coach?
Which was the dang, what was the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs during that time? It's like Bob
Not
Sutton.
Spag, right?
Yeah,
Bob
Bob Sutton.
Sutton.
Yeah,
Bob
Bob
Sutton.
Sutton.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was viewed as a nickel
Oh
back.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember
Yeah.
Bob Sutton.
Yeah.
All right.
So here we go. Training camp. Second topic. Training camp. It's
Sir.
that time where everyone's going to camp. I've been seeing, all week because the Cowboys are the only ones that go to camp first. It seems like they're always the ones that go to camp first. And you've been seeing Dak throwing, dimes to CeeDee Lamb and everybody. So everyone is excited about the Cowboys. Oh, they look great. The videos that I'm seeing is the defensive backs are screaming out, man, that's OPI, that's OPI. But you only see him catch the ball, nobody else around him. I'm like, yeah, that's OPI. Nobody gets that open. Or y'all just be lying, trying to,
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
both.
But training camp, and during the time that we were going to training camp every year is the time where we had to travel. And going to training camp was not just going to training camp. It was a reality check and a mental adjustment that you had to make, because there's few things that had to take place, right? So one, you knew that you had to weigh in. You knew that there was a conditioning test.
Yep.
And you knew that it was going to be hot, uncomfortable, and you're going to be in dorms with people that you didn't always prefer to be in dorms with.
Yep.
So tell me about your Lehigh Valley experience first. And what do you remember about that time?
Man, I would say it was a love-hate relationship with Lehigh. It's by the time, it's always a great time of year when you're loading up and you're loading up your car, your truck, or whatever, and you get down there and the media's all there and you're just excited for the possibilities of a new season.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also that little hint of dread where you're just like, okay, in about 2 weeks, I'm gonna be hating everybody. I'm gonna be hating life. I'm gonna be hating this place. I'm gonna be hating everything. And so, I loved going down there to Lehigh. I loved the start of the season. I loved those first few meetings. I loved the first couple of days. But then, like, literally by a week and a half, I'm just like, I can't stand this no more. I hated it. And but the good thing is, I liked going down there because it was a way to, build camaraderie. It was a way to get close to your teammates. Now, obviously, you're in close quarters 24/7, so you start to get annoyed with each other. But you start to build a bond with each other. You start to build this kind of dog, this bully, as a group. And so, I think back then it was definitely a necessary thing. And it's different. Like the entire NFL is different now. Like a lot of teams don't go away, and there's a lot of good reasons why. But I think a lot of our success in those years was because of the way we did training camp and the grind, and waking up at 6 a.m, get drug tests. Like, it was literally everything about it was just it was a test. Like everything about it was a test, and it was a test of your will, your strength, your manhood, like everything. And so, it definitely was a grind, and it wasn't for everybody. So I loved it. What about you, man? What was your experience?
So training camp, going to Lehigh, like you said, it was love-hate. The thing that you loved about it is that the best fans in the Philadelphia region are in the Lehigh Valley.
Yes, sir.
No offense to anybody that's in South Jersey, that's Birds fans, or in Philadelphia, so on and so forth. But the best fans in Philadelphia area are Lehigh Valley fans. Like, those were like diehard fans that will be outside of your dorm at 12 midnight with little kids. Hey, Jason, just slap his hand. That's all we staying out. We'll go home after that. Like, that type of stuff. So that was the great part about it. The thought of you being done with your free time until January, at least, was depressing. Right? So you go in the end of July, and you wouldn't get any more free time until January or February, depending on when you exited the playoffs or whatever. So it was from that point on, you had the realization like football is literally king of everything for the next 6 months.
Yep.
And so now that was one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it was the conditioning test. So the conditioning test, ladies and gentlemen, it was 16 half gassers, which is across the field and back, which is 53.5 feet. And the skill positions had to do it in 15 seconds.
Yep.
The intermediate or the linebackers and running backs had to do it in 17 seconds, and the big guys had to do it in 19 seconds. For you the next time you're at a football field, you go and touch the line, jog across the field, and come back and see how many seconds that you can do. I bet you if you're running full speed, you're probably going to do it in about 24 seconds. So you can only imagine what the 15 seconds was like for the skill position. Q, you remember that?
Oh yeah, it was rough.
And how tough it was. So you had to be at a full sprint the entire time for 16 times in a row. It was really, really like tough. And I remember,
And the rest, hold on, the rest time was what, 40 seconds?
40. You had
30?
It's like 40, 42 and a half or whatever it was, seconds that you had. And so I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, we're about to play ourselves in shape. Why do we need this test? But sure enough, like every time, get on the line, Coach Reed. I'm like, oh my gosh, we used to do that. And I remember thinking like, man, I'm not NFL ready because Reggie Brown, full speed. Don't bend down. Don't take a knee. Don't do nothing. Just laughing. I'm like, dude, like, why am I not built like this? Like, why am I struggling like this? And Reggie Brown can just sit and laugh at us for taking the knee. And then those are the types of things that kind of make you mad about life, right?
Yeah.
like God just didn't bless me with that. But he had it. The same guy would run, 3 and 4 miles before we played the game.
Or G. Lou would be smoking Black and Miles on the way to the test. I don't put his stuff out there, but G. Lou, he used to love Black and Miles. He'd be smoking a Black and Miles on the way to the test and just blow it away like it was nothing.
And blow away the test. And you had that. That's the funny stuff. Same dude, Black and Miles and McDonald's. And I used to always say, how is G. Lou a coach? One of the best receiver coaches in the National Football League. His recipe was Black and Miles and McDonald's.
For real, man. I don't know how he did it, man.
But it's funny stuff. And and yes, there's some funny stories. I don't know if you remember Tony Hunt.
Oh yeah, I remember Tony. Yeah, running back from Penn State.
Tony Hunt, one of the best running backs in Penn State history. And from Virginia, I remember hosting him for a visit at University of Michigan. And I remember, him being drafted by the Eagles and him feeling like he was the man. When I say this dude could not complete a conditioning test, he didn't even try. And I remember him literally coming in, the coach gives the count. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Tony Hunt. Like, dude, the linemen are beating you. And all of us said in our minds, like, dude, I wish I wish we had his ability just not to care about stuff. That's what we always said. It was like, dude, don't you wish you can be like Tony Hunt mentally where you just don't care about nothing?
Man, that was all them Penn State running backs back in the day, man. They were spoiled. They were all spoiled. They had to do nothing.
Look, he got his money. He's like, I'm gone. Forget what y'all talking about here. I don't care if I ever play it down again. I got my money. Y'all can't tell me nothing. I fooled y'all. So be it. So and that's what you got to worry about, because you may have a dog in college, but once they get the money, you never know what happens. And that was definitely one of those stories. Now,
one of my favorite. I got to tell a story real quick. So my introduction to the NFL was in training camp. So it was my rookie year, and I'm trying to make a name for myself, or whatever, right? So they had Carell Buckhalter. Now, I think I saw Carell in college a couple of times in Nebraska. I didn't realize he was as big as he was. So he's lined up in the slot. He's a running back. He's lined up in the slot, and they sent him in motion, and they gave him like a wide sweep. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got him now. I know he's doing it right when he's going to turn up. So I'm coming full speed inside out. He turns it up, and I go, bow, smack him. The next thing you know, I'm looking at the sky. Buck's just stepping over me, laughing, and all I hear is the entire sideline go, "Oh, welcome to the NFL! Welcome to the NFL!" Listen, I got rant. That was my introduction to the NFL as a rookie in training camp, and I knew right then that was the real deal because I gave him everything that I had, and he just walked
nothing,
right
ate it,
nothing.
That's a funny story. I'll give you one. Is that this was when I came in, they had it was G. Lou, Hank was with me, Hank Basket, Reggie Brown. I believe it was right there. In the training camp, we got Dante Stallworth. It was a few other guys on the team. And I was taking reps with Don because they wanted to see me, if I can catch Don's ball, because that was like the problem that they were having, not many people being able to catch Don's passes. So Dawkins is lining up for me in the slot, right? And I can hear Ryan Mopes in my ear, right? Because remember, Ryan Mopes was on the team during that time. Ryan Mopes, like, come on, J.A., let me see you. So, and I feel like Doc trying to quit, like getting ready to quit me because I'm a rookie. And his forearms are like this. So the only thing that I'm thinking of is, dude, you cannot let this muscle-bound dude touch you. You just cannot. Like, if he jams you, you're gonna stay here. Like, I'm literally thinking this in my mind. I'm scared. I'm scared because I'm like, dude, I can't let this dude touch me. Like, there's no way somebody should be that strong. Like, you don't need that many weights, right? So I'm like, that's wrong. Like, you're so swole, it's wrong. So he quicks, but I like shake him, and I got off of him and I break him down, but I ended up dropping the pass. And so Coach Reed is cursing me out. But everybody's like, man, you shook the Brian Dawkins. I was like, he's a safety. I supposed to shake him. They were so mad at my response. It's like he's a safety. That's what he's so swole. The only thing I remember getting open on him just because he was so swole, I didn't want him to touch me.
Shit, I don't blame you, man. No.
He had when he tried to turn on you, like one of those. I'm like, nah.
He always try to. He had like he was so big, but like he would try to, like you said, the offhand jam you and then try to open up with you. And if he caught you with it, it was a wrap.
It was powerful though. I'm like, dude, that's wrong. Like, don't try to hit me with that. But he never tried it after that because he's like, oh, he's too quick for that. Because I shook his face off for him trying to throw that thing. I shook his face off. I was so mad I dropped the pass.
We got to find the old tape of that stuff and bring it back to the show.
All right, so let's talk about a few other things because the Eagles are going to camp this week, and or soon. Let's talk about the roommates in camp. Did you get a chance to choose your roommate?
No, I can't even remember who my first roommates were. That it's such a blur, man. I just remember. God, I can't even remember who my roommates were, and I just remember like, I hate this because you're already around everyone all day, and then you get to come back to the room, and a lot of people don't realize in training camp your day starts at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're not done till 9. You got to be in bed. You got to be in your room about 11. No, we're done about 9:30. You got to be in your room by 11 o'clock for curfew. And they came by and they checked the rooms every night, curfew. They had security. Big Dom knew where everybody. You don't even try sneaking out. We had that happen a couple of times. Guys get caught. But for the most part, it was like an all day thing. And so you're around people all day. you're around your teammates all day, and then you go back to the room and you're just like, man, I'm tired of looking at this dude. Like, you know, and eventually got to the point where you didn't have to have you know, roommates when you could become a veteran, you get your own room, but you know, bringing TVs and video games and stuff. But even then, you're so tired by the time you get back to the room, all you want to do is sleep.
Yeah.
You know? And I can't, I'm sure it'll come back to me if I start thinking about it, but I can't remember all my roommates that I had.
So I had some fun. Now I got some funny roommate stories, like some funny ones now. So people wanted to room with me a lot because like I was encouraging. So guys that may have been struggling with confidence, like Winston Justice, like I would always tell Winston, man, shoot your hands, man. Stop being scared. Let your hands fly. You know, just bad advice, right? So, but I would make him feel like he can do it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can do it, man. Nobody can hold you. Like I would be that person. Yeah. So Winston used to always want to be my roommate, and he would always tell and put me in for requests, man. Jason, my roommate, man. Don't ever be roommates with big dudes. They don't like heat. They don't like heat. And that right there is a nightmare because you wake up and you like, man, Antarctica in here. It's cold. It's 50 degrees. Like, why are you doing it? And you go in there, you try to hit the heat up to like at least like, you know, 67, 69. Before you know it, he getting mad, and you can't fight with a big dude. You can't fight with him. So it's like so we going back and forth through the middle of the night, 67, 50, 72, 50. I'm like, man, it's cold. Next thing you know, I got pneumonia. I'm like, man, coach, like, why you coughing? I'm like, man, Winston Justice want to keep the heat, turn the air conditioner on 50 degrees all the time, man. Like, he's like, man, you gotta ask for a new roommate. It's like, no, all the big dudes, because I'd be like, man, you can block them. Yeah. That's what I learned is that bigger people get hot quick. And so if you like some heat, don't room with big guys.
Do it. It's like the big guys can hear the thermometer going down. Like, dude, oh no.
Literally, if my door cracked open, he was right behind me within all of 30 seconds. I'm like, dude,
you was playing with your life.
Just playing with me. And then the other thing that I learned about is that the dudes that always are roommates.
Yes.
I'm like, we gonna get drug tested about 15 times during this camp. How do y'all pass this drug test all the time? Well, it was a science.
Back then, you knew, everybody knew when that one test was coming, right? If you get caught before that test coming, then they know you got a problem. If you hold off long enough to get your test, that one test that they test for the weed, you know, you get tested for the PEDs and stuff all year, but that one test a year, if you hold off just long enough to get past that test, then you're good. So yeah, and I don't know if it's like that anymore, but that's how it used to be. But yeah, you're right, 100%. A lot of them guys used to be doing stupid stuff like turning the microwave on, thinking that's gonna hide the smell.
Dude, it was like one time the dorm. As soon as you came into the dorm, it was a group of teammates in this one room, and it was like right at the beginning. I'm like, dude, like right at the beginning doorway, like that's the first thing you came in. You got contact high as soon as you came in the door. Whoo! Every time. I'm like, these dudes wild. I'm like, we get tested so much. How you get? But guys had it down to a science, I guess.
They really did, man.
Yeah.
I remember. So the thing I remember hating the most was, like, you know, when you get so tired, you come to the room, you're ready to sleep, but all day, every day, it's like hydrate. So you trying to get some sleep, and then you got to wake up in the middle of the night like 5-6 times to go to the bathroom. And they got to the point where, I don't know if people, you know, like the little, they sell them in like CVS, like the little urinal type things.
Yeah.
Shoot, that was one of my best friends, man. Wake up in bed, just lean over to the side.
Oh, that's nasty.
Get my
all type of drops.
Go back to sleep, dude. I was so tired. I wasn't caring, man. At least I use that. Some people's using Gatorade bottles. They take an empty Gatorade bottle and just fill it up. Nah, at least I had a medical device that's designed for it.
I couldn't sleep anyway. I was gonna be up high. I'm gonna be up using the bathroom because I was cold, right? But you over there getting all type of pee drops on the covers and everything.
Man. Listen, it's my bed. My bed. My roommates had them too. Everybody had them.
Everybody had them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, training was fun, man. We had a good time. It was a good experience overall, and I do think I agree with you 100%. The fans made it all better. Just seeing them out there, and after every practice, just going over and just even giving kids high fives or throwing your gloves or signing autographs was always a great experience. And it's really a shame because it as much as the Eagles organization right now, how as well as they have training camp now, I just think that the Lehigh was such a different experience and such a bonding type situation for the players that it's a shame that they're not able to experience that time, because it was actually a really lot of fun. It was tough, it was hard, it was draining, but it was a lot of fun.
It was. I wish they could, but I understand like it was costing them a bunch of money with the university and upkeep in the fields and getting them new fields. I'm pretty sure it was an extreme cost for them.
Yeah.
So I understand why people have to make those decisions. But yes, it was a way to bring the team together, so to speak. And it was, I'm away from the family. I'm away from, and it's only us for this time in order for us to focus on our job at hand. So I like that aspect of it. Now, when it comes to like you remember those special teams practices during the training camp and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
And we're not going to cover this a while. Can you explain to the fans, like special teams had an hour-long practice it's like special teams only. Explain to the fans what the practice was like.
So back then we had 2 practices a day. The first practice was like the full pads, like grinded out practice. Then you had your lunch, and then you had maybe about 15, 20 minutes to go back to the room, take a nap. If you had your own car, maybe a little longer so you could take the drive back. But usually we had the buses taking us back and forth to the dorm. So usually you get about maybe 20-minute nap. So then you head back over. And towards the end of my time with the Eagles, it became more of, because the second practice, our first couple of years, we had pads on the second practice as well. But we did away with that and started wearing what we call shells. It was like kind of like just almost like the underneath padding of your shoulder pads. You just strap them on. But now the special teams practice was before the second practice. So if you're a special teams player or a vet that's not a starter, you're out there for the special teams practice. And it was an hour-long track meet, full speed. Every drill was 100 miles an hour. Coach Harbaugh was barking at you, cursing you out.
You button and pressing.
Like I said, we had the shells on, but it was like you were going at it like a real, like you had full pads on. Like that's how serious it was. And the one I will say that the tempo was so high that it went fast, but you were dead tired by the end of that practice. And then you had to get ready for the team, because then the vets come in usually towards the end of the special teams practice. And then there were some times where the vets kind of just had the day off.
Had the day off, yeah.
But for the most part, it would be a special teams, and then we'd have, a little bit of the.
I mentioned that because I just wanted to just show how much different the practices were and how Coach Reed was known as the coach that had the hardest practices in the NFL. And it was grueling, especially those first couple of years where there was 2 practices.
Yeah.
But Harbaugh made it just as tough, because that special teams practice was no covering kicks the entire time. Like that's if you got to cover 12 kicks, Then kickoff returns, you got to cover 12 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to get a get off drill. A guy got to hold you up. You got to get off and touch off on the ball carrier.
Yep.
Just unbelievably hard. And so it's just a different time. So when I'm comparing that to what the kids are doing now, and their second practice is a walkthrough, is, you know, them pointing around what they're doing. And I'm like, dude, I could have played at least 5 more. If you'd have just taken off like the beginning of my career and just gave me that, you know, I would have played a lot longer time. But you know, that's all of us putting in the work for the guys to be able to enjoy that. And hopefully the guys are taking care of their bodies and taking advantage of that. We always say that the product, you know, kind of suffers for it, but we'll see. I think that the team has the same rules as everyone else. So whoever takes the advantage of it is going to shine anyway. So
yeah. I will say this though, like we had with Andy, we had the toughest practices, but usually by week 2 or 3, it was smoother sailing. You know, we would eat, if we had full pads on, we'd take them off right after inside run, and we go shells. And then, you know, I know a lot of fans hated it when we were playing, but we all the time got the whole week off for bye week. So he definitely did start to take care of the players after training camp. But I will tell anybody else, probably the hardest training camps I've ever been. Well, no. Yeah. That one was hard, but then my first year in St. Louis, when Spagnuolo was there, I was like,
well, he came from Andy.
Yeah, well, he was. It was tougher than Andy's. We was out there grinding, but yeah, that's another story, another day.
Yeah. So here we go. Last week we talked about the defense, and this week we're going to talk about the offense. We're going to talk about Jalen Hurts. We're going to talk about the receivers and tight ends and so on and so forth. What's the strength of this Eagles offense, and what do you think Jalen Hurts has to do?
So, in short, for me, the strength, as long as everyone stays healthy, is the offensive line. You know, of course, there's some question marks outside with Mayada and Dillard, and who's going to end up starting there. But if you got a healthy Brooks, you got healthy Siamalu, you know, Landon Dickerson, who was just signed. You got him kind of coming there. You got Kelsey coming back. You got Lane coming back. If that entire group stays healthy, if that entire group works together, which I know Coach Style to get those guys ready to go, I think the offensive line is definitely the strength of this team. And with Jalen Hurts, as long as they can protect him and give him the time he needs, and he can also the offense kind of develops within his skill set, I think he'll be just fine. But if this line is healthy, man, they're probably one of the top, I would say top 5 offensive line groups in the league, personally, I think.
It's funny that you say offensive line. So I think the strength of the team is being a running team. So that starts with the offensive line, Kelsey, and having Brandon Brooks back. Landon Dickerson is going to start this season, ladies and gentlemen. Somewhere he will start somewhere. I think that he's better than Siamalu now. Excuse me. I think that he's better than Siamalu now, and so I think that he's going to start somewhere. And if they can be maulers up front, and Jalen Hurts can add into that run game, and they can be a top 5 running team, that's the only way the Eagles have a chance to win a division. That's the only chance the Eagles have to, make the playoffs, that they're going to have to be a run-first football team. And usually teams with a good line, with a quarterback that has some dynamic running ability, with a good running back, I think of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I don't want our quarterback to be Lamar Jackson trying to elude everyone, but I do think that he's a better runner than passer at this stage. So I don't want him being Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, where all the offense is on his shoulder and on his arm. But we're going to have to take advantage of his running ability and open it up with the play action. So I think that's the only way that the team can win now, can make a playoff run and win a division, is going to be through pounding the rock. And we're totally unprepared for that with the city of Philadelphia. Seeing the past regime that we had Chip Kelly before then, we had Coach Andy Reid before that. So with all of those being said, we're used to airing the football out, and the only way this team can do that, can win games, is going to be running the ball first. Now, if they can become a top 5 running team, you're going to be a top 5 big play offense, because it's run, play action. It's run, play action. So now you're averaging 20 yards a catch rather than 9 yards a catch, because now you're catching meaningful passes. You're catching AJ Brown balls when you have Derrick Henry and he's catching, 70 catches, but he has 1,400 yards, because he's, making it count. And everybody's, biting up in the run game, and he can go behind you. And so if we can get that type of offense, that's the best case scenario for us. Other than that, I hope that Jalen Hurts can develop into a dominant thrower. I believe that he has the ability. I'm not saying that he is a guy that can't hit the broad side of a barn. I believe that the kid is accurate. I believe that he can be accurate for a long time. But do I trust at this stage in his career for him to go out and win the game by himself? Not at this stage. But will he be able to? Yes. So let's protect him with running the football and make sure that his talent develops into that person that we know that he can be.
And to me, what I see, and maybe this is because I'm a defensive player, but to me, a team that's decided to commit to running the football and not just on a per game basis, but this is our thing, as this is our scheme.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that says you care about the defense, you care about the special teams, you care about the entire unit. You don't necessarily just care about putting butts in the stands or getting prolific numbers, because what that does is you running the ball, you're grinding the game out, you're shortening the game, and you're giving your defense a chance to rest. So now they're going to want to play harder. They're going to have more energy. They're going to be standing up, fighting for, yelling for your running back that's fighting for those extra yards. So to me, when you commit to the run game, when you commit to, the run scheme, to me, that's team football, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To me, that's caring about all 3 facets of the game. And so I would love to see that. I hope you're right 100%, because, and I know Philly fans have been spoiled with the passing game, but I think they'd be all right with
some running
the ball.
Now what happens is automatically you're going to build a stronger defense. So when you make it about running the football, which is their only option now, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts can't beat people throwing the ball, but it's not going to be consistent. So the main priority should be establishing a run game, using the quarterback on design runs as well, in order to make them a potent running team. When you do that and you're doing it consistently, your defense is practicing against that, which makes you a tougher defense. And usually teams that run the football well, their defenses usually match the type of team that they are. So the Ravens usually have a good defense because they're a running first team. Usually teams like the Browns have become a run first team with, Hunt and, Chubb. So their defense has gotten so much better. You think of defense when you think about Tennessee as well, because those teams are used to hitting people in the mouth. They're used to practicing against it. They have to in training camp. So it makes you a better team when you run the football. So I think that's the only solution that we have going forward.
Agreed. I'm all for it.
Yeah. The areas of concern that I have with the team is that if we're totally reliant upon passing situations, right? Here's where I get nervous, right? You still have unproven receivers. You still have unproven pass blocking, right? So yes, Mailata has some ups and some downs. You have Dillard, who's been underweight. We don't know what he can do. That left tackle position is the most important position in football. So when you have that uncertainty there, do you want to be in that situation? And then you have a quarterback that is still young. So when you put all of those situations, I got young receivers, I got an unproven left tackle position, and then I got a young quarterback. It may not be the best situation to be down in football games a bunch. It's just not a great recipe for you at this stage. Can they overcome it? Yes, they can overcome it. Hopefully there's only one problem area. If there's one problem area and that problem area is, okay, we've identified our problem area on the offensive line. Our offensive line's problem area is the left tackle. Okay, we can be able to help that we can chip, we can do something if it's one area. Once you got multiple areas, you can't do anything about it. So hopefully that's the one area that if we do have an area, it could be that. And we can adjust from that, but it's not a situation you want to be behind the down or behind in football games.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree 100%, man. Let's get on top early.
Yeah.
Can't be getting behind.
Like if we were offensive coordinators, what kind of offense would you run with this personnel? I guess I kind of answer that from my perspective.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's old school for me. 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. That's almost not even heard of anymore. You come out line up with a fullback, people be like, man, what the heck is that?
Well, exactly. People wouldn't even know how to fit.
Yeah.
Like with the day of college, like football, they wouldn't know how to fit.
Yeah. So maybe, for me, I'm old school with it. So 21 personnel, run when we have to. 3rd down and maybe 11 personnel, but I'm old school with it, man. Let's go. Let's grind it out.
Well, now hold on. Are you going too far right now? You're going too far.
Nope.
So the reason I say that is this. So I think that so you would
I'm trading for a true fullback. I'm gonna go find me a fullback somewhere. They got one. He's sitting at a bar somewhere right now. I'm gonna go find him. I'm bringing him in. I'm gonna say, listen, man, all you gotta do is go hit that linebacker every play.
go hit the linebacker every play. It's a guy that you can pay to do that too. That's how I used to make him right there. It's like, look, just go knock him out. All right, eliminate it.
No, but obviously it's a different time right now. But
yeah, So I think that most teams, if they're going to run the ball, is going to be either at 11 or 12, just with the way the rosters are shaping out because there isn't a fullback, which I'm okay with that. Dang, we didn't even discuss that because when you talk about 12 personnel, which is two tight ends, 2 receivers, 1 back in the backfield. Zach Ertz is said to be staying with the team, which is bizarre and weird, and he doesn't want that. I can tell everybody here today, Zach Ertz has in no way, in no shape, in no form, has said that he wants to be in Philadelphia. He does not want to be in Philadelphia, and I think that he will be more of a distraction to Philadelphia. And toward the future than just think about it. You can't be that frustrated with being with the organization, then all of a sudden just like, oh, he's just coming around. No, it doesn't work like that. If he's frustrated with Howie, he's going to be frustrated with Howie tomorrow. Yeah. And that's what this is. He thinks he deserves more money, and he's made a lot of plays for this organization, and he feels like he hasn't been compensated properly. So he's frustrated and pissed off with Howie. And you can't sweep that under the rug. It's something that's not going to be. So I don't want Jalen Hurts to be sacrificed because of it.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
whatever Howie and Zach has going on, get it out of the way, so the team can do well. That's all I'll say about that. Is that
Yeah.
both you guys get the BS out of the way and go and let the team win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's easier said than done.
Huh?
That's easier said than done.
That's easier said than done. But so the way that you run would be through 12 and 11. And you have to you got to try to gain an advantage, a half a man, and that's going to be reading off a defensive end. That's going to try to, that nickel defender that's trying to play halfway, trying to, read him and do I throw a bubble screen? It's going to be like a spread type of offense that we see a traditional like spread type of thing that we see kind of Lamar Jackson does, like with some zone reads and things of that nature. You're going to have to. That's going to be a premier part of this offense.
I still say fullback. You got fullback on the field, you ain't got to worry about a nickel, a
Yeah,
nickel back, But
you
I will say, go ahead.
you do know that there's nothing more gangster than lining up with the fullback with your line against them. They know you're going to run the ball and you run it and you make yards doing it. There's nothing more gangster than that. And yes, it's an old school way of doing it, but if they can't stop you from making a yard or two, you kind of own that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, so that you, based off your offense, so something like what Brian Dable does, right, in Buffalo, an offense like that is what you can see developing here. Because I
Well,
don't really know what scheme Sirianni is going to use yet, but I really like Dable's offense. They do run the ball, they do some two back stuff, and they
mhm.
do, obviously, what's his name is phenomenal right now. I'm blanking right now. Who's
Diggs, who are you talking about?
the Bills quarterback?
Oh, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen is playing phenomenal football
Mhm,
right now. So obviously there's that, and he's definitely got some weapons with Diggs.
mhm,
But I'm just saying, if you look at schematically wise, that offensive scheme I think fits well with
mhm.
what Ertz can do and what this offensive line can do. So maybe that's something we can study and look at in the future. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, an offense that's similar to what you described just now.
The only offense that I can look at and say it's like that now that I think of is the Ravens.
Ravens, yeah.
Because the Ravens still can be they can be in 12 or 11, and
Yeah.
they're going to read off people. They're going to, it's going to be that type of offense. And that's the offense that's going to work this year.
So do you think there could be possibly a point where Jalen might say, hey, I want to develop my passing game. I don't want to be running the ball too much. You think that could end up being an issue down the line?
Well, Lamar Jackson has multiple opportunities a game to make throws. They win games when he make throws. They lose games when he doesn't.
Mm,
So Jalen Hurts will have the opportunity to make game-winning throws. You can't run the ball the entire game in the National Football League. Just will not happen, even though you're trying to. So you're going to be forced to make a throw and to make a play, and you'll have multiple opportunities to do that. And if he hits on those throws, those down the field throws, he hits on those, he's going to look awesome.
mm.
And so I don't think that it would be a problem because there's going to be multiple opportunities a game for him to make throws. If he gets 23 opportunities, that's a perfect number. 23 to 25 attempts, that's a perfect number for
Okay.
him. And if he can complete those opportunities, be great.
Okay.
Yeah, be
I can
great.
deal with
Yeah,
that. I
be
can
great.
deal
He's
with
still,
that.
it's still a quarterback, So
Yeah.
you still got to make throws. Still got to make throws. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I can work
Now
with that.
let's ask a few more things, right? Ask a few more things. Like you got young receivers. You got Devontae Smith. You got Jalen Reagor, who's been saying all the right things in the media.
What do you think their roles are going to be, and how do you implement them this year?
Yeah, it's tough because there's such a young group, and it a lot of times with new coaching staff, sometimes the trajectory can be altered a little bit, and so it's tough for me to see with Jalen having basically just not even a full year under his belt. And you got Devontae who's young. So it's such a young group. It's hard to tell right now. But I will say this, like, I do like everything that I'm hearing from this group. I do like the idea of developing a running game that'll help those guys long term. I will see, how they are toughness wise. We'll see how they are mentally, how they are with the mental game and having that dog in them, and are they studying film and doing everything off the field? So it's it's tough for me to call right now, and I don't know. I just feel like it's still too early. I mean, it's still too early to really tell what we have right there. Obviously, it can be phenomenal, but it could also end up in trouble.
I think that they're the perfect receivers for a play action based passing game, which if they do what I'm saying, that's the success that they can have. Right? Is that usually most of their passing plays are going to be off play action when you're a run first football team. So now the safety's up, you got a one-on-one with the corner, what have you. It's less people in the throwing lane, and they have the speed in order to get down the field. Both those guys can run. Yeah. So those are the type of receivers that usually thrive in play action type of passing games. And that's why T.Y. Hilton has always been a deep threat. You ever notice that, Ben Roethlisberger has always been like a play action type of quarterback where he's airing it out. Yeah. Those are the types of things that occur. When I think of a play action team, I think of the 49ers. I think of Kittles running across the field on a deep over, or Detroit, which is in and back out, or something along those lines. When you think of teams like that, you think of a play action based passing game that stems off the run first. Yeah. I think you have the receivers to be that. And it's a lot easier to catch balls off of play action than it is just drop back, because there's more people in the vicinity in the area. So usually when cats throw slants off of play action, it's usually like a big window. Because guys are like, oh, it's run, I'm gone. But when you throw it off just regular drop back, it's more people in the lane. So I think that helps these young receivers.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, last question, Q. No, we got two questions. Miles Sanders. So this is the offense that Miles Sanders has a breakout season. Ooh. If they depend on Landon Dickerson, Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane, and whoever that fifth guy is, they depend on those guys. Jalen is a part of that run game, with the feature back being Miles, home run hitter Miles, no injury Miles. This could be okay. The
breakout year,
the breakout one, like top 5 rushers year. So hopefully that occurs this year. He has the ability to do it, and hopefully that occurs. But that attention to detail, and I think they're forced to do this in order to win games.
Absolutely. We've never, obviously, injury wise, he's had some durability issues, and so there's that to be said. And I would love to see how he would hold up in the full season, running in between tackles, outside the tackles, because I think that I agree with you. If we do run this offense, this is right up his alley. If we run offense like this, play action down the field, downhill running, I think that coupled with having, Jordan Howard that can spell him a little bit, the rookie Gainwell popping in, and then with Kerryon Johnson coming in, stepping in, I think this running back core is going to be pretty formidable. I mean, obviously not huge names, but if the system is what we're thinking it's going to be, I think it can definitely only benefit this group because, how many times did we see Miles last year running a wheel route, only to either get overthrown or, not even get the ball. And it's almost like it's just you're wasting his talent by doing that. Like he's a running back. Get him downhill, let him get the ball and make something happen with it. And so I agree with you. I'd love to see what he can do in a not traditional, but a more traditional type of offense in terms of running the football downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I agree with you. I think that's him this year. I agree with that. And last question of the night, Q. Last question of the night. Who do you think from last year is going to make the biggest jump? Is going to have like a breakout type of a season or like a great improvement? And then who do you think is going to decline?
Ooh.
I got two right off the top of my head.
Okay. You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
All right. So for me, I'm going to go and say Avante Maddox.
He's making the biggest jump, getting better, going up.
Yeah, I think he's going to make a big jump.
Okay.
I think moving him inside with a new scheme, with a young, energetic defensive coaching staff, and him not necessarily having to play outside, I think he's going to make the biggest step forward. I think he's going to have a big year. Obviously, we talked about his eyes and jumping on everything. If we can get him coached, which I know Coach Denard Wilson will definitely be on him about that stuff. I think that he can definitely make a huge step this year. So that's mine that I'm going out on a limb.
Okay.
So the Avante, please make me right. And then who's gonna probably take a step back? That's such a tough question because last year was just everybody kind of struggled last year.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to take a step back? You know what? I hate to say this, but I have a feeling, and I know he's in a contract year, and I have a feeling that this is based on more, not necessarily stuff on the field, but a lot of stuff that's going to probably happen off the field. But I'm going to have to say my man Fletcher Cox is probably going to struggle this year. He's at year 10. He's in a contract year. And as you know, in this area, when you get around that area, that's when all the craziness starts to happen. And so I'm going to say probably Fletch. And I hate to say that because I love him. He's a great competitor, great player, and I love watching him. I just feel like it's going to be some stuff out of his control, and he's going to be forced to, take a step back. They drafted two D linemen.
Yeah.
I think that they're trying to show their cards right now where they're headed with Fletch.
Mm.
It's frustrating.
That is frustrating. That's a powerful statement. I say that the guy that's going to explode is going to be Quez Watkins. Okay. So we saw a little bit of him last year, and we like what we saw late in the season when he got his opportunity. Slay the entire year beat his tail in scout team. He didn't have confidence. Slay got to talking about him, all that type of stuff. He started to fight back, and the coach was forced to put him in the game, and he balled and showed. And I haven't seen him posting a bunch of stuff, but all I see is him all over working out with people, working on his craft. Over Jalen Hurts, who the first one, Quez is there doing this, doing that. Receiver coaches or whatever it is, Quez is there. He putting in work. He trying.
That's what I like to hear right there.
So I think Quez is putting his best foot forward, and he has the ability. and I don't know if he's ever worked hard in his life. The guy that there's two guys that I say could take a step back, but I'm going to say one. John Hightower, even though it wasn't a great first year for him, missed a lot of passes. I just don't think that he cares about football enough. The reason being, like I said, he posts everything that he's interested in, and it's never football. It's never working out, but it's showing, him kill somebody on Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So, and then the organization has soured on him. Yeah. And that's been stated multiple times through a number of affiliates. And so I think he's someone that's going to step back and may not even make the team this year. So we'll see how that goes.
No, say it ain't so.
That's crazy.
No,
and the kid is talented. He's still the best route runner on their team. Well, probably next to Devontae Smith, but he's a talented route runner. But if you don't love it, you don't love it.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? It's the dudes that barely have the talent, that sit there all night studying their craft, trying to get better, barely being good enough. And the dude that got all the talent in the world don't care about it, don't love it.
That's crazy, man. He's 6'2", 190.
Yeah.
25 years old.
4'41".
4'41".
Yeah, 4'41" with the wiggle too. He got the wiggle at the line, like the yeah. But yeah, he got the wiggle at the line too. And so that right there equals a 4.27. If you can stop somebody's feet, when a guy can run a 4.41, there's no way that anybody can. Once he stops their feet, there's no way anybody can recover. Wow. So it's just disheartening because he's one of the most talented receivers on the field.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for him.
Hopefully I'm wrong.
Preseason, I hope so too. But this is what, this year 2 for him or year 3?
This is year 2.
Year 2. You don't really, you get maybe 1.5 years to show some kind of progress. So and now you got a new coaching staff. He really needs to be doing everything he can to be getting seen by the coaching staff, and so it's frustrating.
The word is he don't care. So We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Q, that's going to wrap up our show tonight. We want to say thank you to everyone that's making our show a success. Thanks to all the fans that are out there submitting your questions. Make sure that you are checking in and tuning in to Inside the Birds on the YouTube channel, Amazon Music, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Submit your questions to insidethebirds@gmail.com. We're going to continue to answer good questions. And we just appreciate everyone that's responsible for this show. Jeff, Adam, Hunter, everyone that's responsible. Background. Q, thank you, my brother. Thank you. You got the last word.
Yes, sir. Thank you as always, man. It's great talking to you. I love doing this stuff, man. It's a lot of fun. And thank you to all the fans. Everybody just keep sending them questions in, like Jason said. And anything you got, just shoot them in for us. So look forward to it.
Peace.